In this lecture, I'm going to discuss about what is Ansible. Ansible is an open source software provisioning, configuration management and application deployment tool. It runs on many Unix-like systems and can configure both Unix-like systems as well as Microsoft Windows. In simple words, if you have an environment where you have to manage hundreds of Linux servers, so very first step, you have to choose one server as your Ansible server on which you are going to install Ansible software, or we can say that server is going to manage all your clients. So that server should always be a Unix-like systems on which you are going to install Ansible, and your clients could be Windows or Unix-like systems. It doesn't matter, but you cannot make your Windows machine as your Ansible server. Your Ansible server should always be installed on a Unix-like systems. Ansible was originally written by Michael Dehan, the creator of the Cobbler provisioning application. Ansible has been widely adopted because it is simple to use for system administrators. Developers ease into using Ansible because it is built on Python. The most important, Ansible is included as a part of the Fedora distribution of Linux, and it is owned by Red Hat, and it is also available for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, CentOS, Debian, Scientific Linux, Oracle Linux via extra packages for the Enterprise Linux Apple. Ansible's architecture is agentless. You do not need to install any agent at the client machine which you are going to manage from your Ansible. So this is one of the good features of Ansible which make it differ from other automation tool. Instead of creating custom individualized scripts, system administrators create high-level plays in Ansible. So with Ansible, you have to create the playbooks. Playbooks is nothing, it's a file which contains one or more plays. In the playbook, you have to write what exactly you want to perform on the client. So that we'll understand once we'll do the lab session. So that's all for this lecture. Hope you got some idea about the Ansible. We'll see you in the next lecture. Bye. In this lecture, I am going to tell you about Ansible limitations. There are many things that Ansible cannot perform. Here we have Ansible can add packages to an installation, but it doesn't perform the initial installation of the system. So with Ansible, you cannot perform the installation of any operating system. That you have to do it via Kickstart or OS Media CD or via network. And once you do the minimum installation of Linux operating system, the further post configuration work you can do it via Ansible. Although Ansible can remediate configuration drift, it doesn't monitor for it. Ansible doesn't track what changes are made to files on the system, nor does it track what user and process made those changes. So suppose we have one file on my system and I want to know via Ansible that what changes has been made on that file and who has made. So this sort of work you cannot perform with Ansible. Even you cannot perform the monitoring on the system. For the monitoring, you can use some softwares like Negios and any other third-party software. That's all. We'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you. In this lecture, I am going to discuss about an architecture of Ansible. In this picture you can see a lot of components are there. Left hand side you can see the components that belong to Ansible automation engine, and right hand side host 1, host 2, host 3. These are the clients which you are going to manage from your Ansible. And at the top you can see public/private cloud, which is nothing, it's a Linux server. You can add this server as a repository for all the IT installation and configurations. Basically for a big environment where we have lots of departments and domain which we have to manage from Ansible, then we need a repository where we can put the playbooks, where we can put the configurations, plugins, custom modules. So we need a repository for that, and that repository we are going to create on a Linux server, and that Linux server I want it should be in a private cloud or it should be in a public cloud, so that other departments people they can also use that repositories. Now let's discuss about the Ansible automation engine components. Here we have the host inventory. Host inventory basically it's a list of all the IP address of the host machine which you are going to manage from your Ansible, like host 1 and host 2. Suppose you want to manage host 1 and host 2 for the installation of Tomcat, then you are going to create a inventory, and in that inventory you are going to manage only these two servers, and when you run your playbook you have to specify the inventory. The next components are modules. Here at the bottom you can see it is showing core modules and custom modules. Ansible comes with hundreds of inbuilt modules, and modules are nothing, they are the pieces of codes that gets executed when you run a playbook. A playbook contains plays, and a play contains different tasks that you want to perform from your host machine, that is from your client, and the task includes your modules. So when you write a play, in the play you mention the modules. Suppose you want to copy a file from your Ansible server to the clients, then you are going to use a module for that. Suppose you want to do the installation of any package, so for that we have a separate module. So for each task Ansible has created a separate module for that. So when you run a playbook, it's the modules that gets executed on your host machine, and these modules contains action in them. So when you run a playbook, those actions takes place on your host machines. You can make your custom modules as well. If you have a very good knowledge on Python, you can create your own module as well. Next in the architecture are plugins. Plugins here are a special kind of modules. These plugins gets executed before a module is getting executed on the nodes. Different types of plugins we have: email, login, and etc. Cache plugins are also there. The architecture has connection plugins. Here you can see. So we know that for the communication between Ansible to the client machine we always prefer SSH, but it is not always needed to use an SSH for connecting with your host machines. You can also use a connection plugin. For example, Ansible provides you with a Docker container connection plugins, and using that connection plugin you can easily connect to all your Docker containers and start configuring it. So friend, that's all for this lecture. Hope you got an idea about an architecture of Ansible. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next lecture. In this lecture, I'm going to Discuss about how to start the Ansible setup in your environment. Suppose I am working in an organization where I have to manage hundreds of servers. It could be Linux, HP Unix, Solaris, AIX. Now I want to do automation in my environment. I want to do the Ansible setup. So very first step, I have to choose one server, and that server is going to be the control node on which I am going to install the Ansible software. And from that server I am going to manage all my clients. Now you can see in the PPT, here I have chosen server9.example.com. This server is my control node on which I am going to install the Ansible. And from this server I am going to manage all my clients. So there are two types of machines in Ansible architecture: control node and managed host. Managed host is your clients. And at the client end, you do not need to install anything. It's agentless. And one more thing, you have to make sure that SSH should be working between your control node and managed host. If it is not working, then you have to involve the respective team. It could be an issue with the firewall. Involve the firewall team and open the port for SSH. SSH should be working between your managed host and control node. So friend, that's all for this lecture. Hope you got some idea about the Ansible. And no worries, we'll have a lot of lab sessions. In the lab session, I'm going to show you how to do the setup practically. So that's all. We'll see in the next lecture. So let's continue. So in this lecture, we'll understand the syntax of a simple Ansible command, or you can say ad hoc command. So this is the command you can see in the PPT: Ansible-m command-a uptime dev. Let me first tell you what this command is doing. So this command is running on the target servers. Dev is the group in which we have some servers. So this command will be running on all the servers that is specified under dev and running a command uptime from all the client machines and fetching that output and will show at the front end. So with this command you will get an uptime output from the desired servers which you have mentioned in the group dev. So this is a simple command. Let's understand the syntax. First is the keyword. Ansible is the keyword. M is for module. So what module I am using here to fetch the output? So this is the command. Command is the module name. I am using the module that is command. What command I need to run on my client machines? That is uptime. I need the uptime. You can put any command here. Dev is the target server groups. So this command will be running on dev target groups. We have mentioned groups in the inventory file, and in the group we have a lot of servers. What will happen? Suppose 5 servers are under this group dev. So this command will run on all the 5 servers. So let me log into my Ansible server and will show you. So this is my Ansible server. So I'm just going to show you how we can run a simple commands. So the very first thing, you have to maintain a inventory file. In inventory file you have to mention the list of the servers, the list of the clients which you have to manage. So let me show you. I have already created my inventory file, so that would be in this location. You can create this file in other location as well. It is up to you, but this is the default location. If you are using some other location, then you have to specify the path of the inventory file using -i option. But if you are putting the servers in this files, then you do not need to specify the file name. Now you can see I have created this file. It is started with one wildcard, or you can say target groups. So here you can see the target groups prod is a group in which I have mentioned few servers. This is my few servers, server 1 and server 2. So while running my command, I have to simply specify this prod. So what will happen? Whatever the servers coming under prod, the command will be running on those servers. Like this way I have created dev for development servers. For test I have few servers. Web servers, I can see the 2 servers I have mentioned in category of web servers. Like this way, my prod, patching, mserv, myserv. So these are the groups I have created. So that you would be creating as per your requirement, as per your environment. And also you can use this command Ansible. Let me clear it. Ansible -- list host. You have to simple give any group name, myserv. So whatever the servers you have mentioned under myserv group, it will show here. You can see here in myserv there are 2 servers. Let me check for web server. So here I would be putting web servers. So this is also one way you can find out what are the servers we have mentioned in the specific group. So 2 servers are there. Now I want to run a simple command like Ansible -m. The module I have to use, I am using command module A, and you can put it in single quoted, double quoted, doesn't matter. I am using uptime, and the group I am using myserv. So what will happen, this command, this ad hoc command will run on all the servers mentioned in myserv group, and you will get an desired output. So I have 2 servers in that group. One is the client.example.com, another one is the linuxguru.example.com. So you can see the output we have got immediately because this command is running parallelly on both the servers, and it is using a module command. So what happened at the backend when you fire the command, the Ansible server, the control node, copy the module, command module to all your client machines first, and then execute the module. So first step, it is copying the command module from your control node to your managed host, and once it is copying there, it just execute the command. So this is how your Ansible works. Let me run few more commands. If I am running it for my another group is web servers. So let's see how the output is coming. Now you can see I have got an output from both the servers. Suppose you want to run some other command, you can use, instead of this uptime, you can use uname -a and web server. Now you can see I have mentioned some type of mistake. It's web servers. I have just mentioned web server. You will get an error. So whenever you are typing any target groups, so make sure it should be correct. So like this way, I am using another group, myserv. I am getting an output for all my servers or groups. Suppose I want to check the ping connectivity. I can use Ansible -m. Now I am using ping module now here and my group name. So what will happen? It will check the ping connectivity from your control node to your managed host. Suppose I want to check it for my web server. It will give an output. Successful means you are getting a desired output, that whatever you are going to check, it is successful. Ping pong means everything is fine now. Okay, suppose you want to get an output of this host name, you can use simple host name. Okay, instead of this you can use web servers as well. So we'll get an output of web server as well. So this way you can use simple commands to get a desired output. So friend, that's all for this lecture. Hope you got an idea how we can use simple ad hoc commands. Okay, so that's all for this lecture, and if you have time, please join with me in the next lecture. Let's have important points about Ansible. It is a free open source software. Agentless, no need for agent installation at the client end. It is Python YAML based. Highly flexible and configuration management of systems. Large number of ready to use modules for system management. So Ansible comes with number of inbuilt modules, so you can use as per your requirement. You can also create your custom modules if needed. Configuration rollback in case of errors. Simple and human readable. Implement sudo password so that normal user needs password to alleviate this privilege. So last point you will understand once we'll do the lab session. So these are the important points, or we can say tips about this Ansible. So thanks, we'll see you in the next lecture.